Hello, 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 everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Good to see you. Brat, you number one again, girl. Good evening, PG. Much love. God bless. Summer Moon, Utah Wales Army, Miss Norway, and to everyone in chat. Much love and prayers. Hey, girl. God bless. And Lisa, you number two. Hey, y'all. Much love. Much love to you, girl. God bless. And Miss Justice. 1111. All right. number three. Number three in here tonight. In Australia, you are number four. PG, much love and prayers. Hey, girl. Back at you. God bless. All right. Ruby Rainmaker, how you doing, sweetie? She says hello. PG and chat. Much love. Much love to you. Hey, missing puzzle pieces. How's it going, sweetie? Good to see you. No summer, no peace. That's right. That's right. Hey, Pam, I've seen you, girl. I seen you when I was coming in here earlier. Good to see you, Pam. God bless. Karen, how you doing, sweetie? Oh, I appreciate that. Appreciate that, Brat. Lynn, how you doing, sweetie? Good to see you. Seeking Truth, how you doing? Let me see. I'm getting down through here. She says, hello, all mods in chat. PG. Hello to you. Oh, that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, Australia. I'm trying not to miss nobody. I'm carefully watching as we go to the bottom. Hey, Linda. There you are, girl. Oh, Brown Eyes Blue. I love that song. You're gonna make my brown eyes blue. All right. Something like that. I wasn't my best, but hey, it worked. Right. Yeah. Oh, shit. PG got to stay off the brownies. Right. Got to leave them brownies alone. Can't touch them. Hey, how you doing, Angel? Waterhouse. How you doing, sweetie? Small town girl, Brenda. I'm trying to get as many as I can. Georgia Wild Child, how you doing, sweetie? There's Caroline. Hey, I appreciate that. Member for 8 months. All right. God bless. God bless. Oh, Karen, that is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Hey, spreading love. How you doing, sweetie? Love to PG and Moz and Summer's Army. Hey, girl, much love to you. You know it. Hey, Sissy, aka Silly Rabbit. How you doing, sweetie? Good to see you. Good to see you. Let me see. There's my Suzanne. How you doing, sweetie? Good to see you. Angel girl. I don't know if I called you out, but I'm calling you now. Blessings, missing puzzle pieces. Hey, God bless. Oh, wow. There we go, Caroline. I appreciate that. All right. I got super chat. All right. God bless. I appreciate you supporting Summer's channel. Absolutely. Spread love. 22 months. Member. 22 months. Love and prayers. Amen. Hey, girl. I appreciate it. God bless. God bless. I appreciate you guys' support back to back. Summer got support back to back tonight. God bless. Wanda, she says, hello, everyone. Purple hearts for Summer. Hey, we appreciate it. Yeah. Patty Ponytail, good to see you, girl. Good to see you tonight. God bless. Absolutely. Absolutely, Australia. I appreciate that, sweetie. Hit that thumbs up. It's free. It's free. Hey, Sally, how you doing, sweetie? So happy PG is live tonight. Yeah, yay. Yay for us. We're live. Summer's channel's up and going tonight. Absolutely. Thank the Lord. Hey, Nurse Cindy. All right. Member for 35 months. I love you, PG. Hey, girl. I love you too. You know it. You know it. I appreciate that. God bless. Hey, all right, Angel. All right. No summer, no peace. Member for 7 months. Hey, girl. God bless. God bless. You guys are beautiful. You guys are beautiful. Absolutely amazing. And no summer, no peace. He's the mama's heart. You got that right, right? No summer. Oh, Nurse Cindy, I appreciate it. All right. I got super chat. All right. I appreciate that. God bless. God bless. And Grieving Mama, how you doing tonight, sweetie? How are you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. Summer's Army, stand strong against evil. Amen. We sure do. We sure do. We ain't only got the suit of armor, but we got some steel-toe boots. All right. We're reinforcing. We're reinforcing. We're ready. We'll boot them. Don't bring no evil in here. We don't tolerate that. Hey, Karen. Hello, hello, hello to you, sweetheart. Hello to you, girlfriend. Good to see you. Hey, spread the love. Oh, super sticker. All right. I appreciate that. God bless. Amen. All right, you guys. You know, I keep going back. I keep going back June 15th, 2021. Because, we want to help Summer as much as we can. We want to help this little girl. We want to achieve everything we possibly can achieve for her. And I keep going back June 15th, 2021. And when I stopped there, some reason, I kind of flopped back into the 14th. I don't, ever since this case started, I always flop back into the 14th when all of them was down on the road, partying out, and that's what they was doing. They was partying out. And the kids going everywhere and and Jodie Sue, she denied seeing Summer. She denied even seeing Summer that the day before there for a while. I mean, she was like denying the hell out of it. And then, like, I was calling her out. I'm like, you lying bitch. You saw Summer. All of them kids were down there. Your kids, all their kids, you, Don, And then she comes out and tells the truth. Yeah, I saw Summer. She was over there somewhere by that creek. I think messing with one of them puppies or something. Remember? Yeah. And they went out looking for Dobbs that night. And, and Dudley got fired that day. Don came into Ben Hill Road, caught Mr. Dobbs there, contacted Jodie Sue and Andy to descend down upon this man and, and get law enforcement to run him out of there. And, I'm telling you, this stuff was definitely planned up. It had to have been because I think they went looking for Dobbs because what happened was Don fired Dudley to blame this stuff on, but I don't think Don Wells really wanted to be blaming up Dudley. I think he really wanted to continue to use Dudley because Dudley was a really good worker and putting up with a lot of Don Wells shit. And I think that when they went looking for Dobbs, I believe at that point, that's who was going to be, their main victim to blame everything on come the next day. But they couldn't find him. So they had to go back to plan A, which was Dudley. And Don did. He already had that in motion because they had no idea anybody else was going to show up until, he did, until Dobbs did. So, because Dobbs was kind of surprised, he was a surprise on him, right? A surprise to him. And and Don Dunn did what he did. But Don Wells always thinks, if things change up, he can always apologize, and make some excuse, as to why he does evil shit and try to get the person to, overcome his evilness and come back. What I'm saying is, if they could have got Mr. Dobbs, then Don would have been taking Dudley his money, talking about how, he'd been under a lot of stress and he didn't mean it to take it out on Dudley. And if Dudley could, he would have tried to hang on to Dudley. But because it went down the way it did, and they couldn't find Dobbs, then, Don had no choice but to leave it on Dudley. And he did. And he did. That was some kind of weird coin that I don't know where it came from. Must have got it. When you go to the store and you go to the store and you put your money in and all this change drops out. It must have been in there. It must have been laying in it when I pulled all the other change out. But it is a really weird looking freaking coin, to be honest with you. It's a super weird looking. I don't know where it come from. I don't know what it is yet. I have to check into it. Matter of fact, to be honest with you, it's a funny color. It's a funny color too. I don't know if it's Canadian or, German or what country it might have came from, but yeah, that's what I laid it up on my desk because I was like, what the hell is this? Right? I'm like, what is this thing? I was going to look into it, but I hadn't had the time. Then my elbow slapped it off my desk. Ended up on the floor. To be honest with you, I don't necessarily. It's a really weird looking coin. It's kind of actually freaky looking, to be honest with you. I don't even know what it is. Wish I did. Right now, it's right now I'm thinking about going back to the store and putting it back in that little cup thing. Like, I don't even know how I took it. Right? I don't know how it got mixed up with my change. I'm about ready to go back and put it back in there so somebody else can get it. It's like, I don't know. I don't even know what the freak it is. It kind of freaking me out too. Because it's an ugly coin. That's what it is. I ain't seen nothing like it. Right? I ain't never seen anything like it. It's really weird looking. But anyway. Hey, how you doing, Mar? Good to see you in here. Good to see you in here. Yeah, that's right, Brenda. If I had a deed to some property and I pulled up to claim my property and these people were like, and you're going to claim this one, I'd be like, the hell if I ain't. I'd be the one calling law enforcement. I'd be calling law enforcement saying, look, I got property there and they have to, there's a law that, they have to give you right away to your property. That can be enforced by a court. You are entitled to right away to your property. And, if they closed off your driveway, destroyed your driveway and closed it off and only left their own, and that's also, against the law. You're not allowed to close off anyone's access to their property and then just leave yours. I mean, that's BS, right? And from my understandings, that's what Jodie Sue and Andy and them did. They closed. There was two driveways went up there, and I heard they closed off the other one. I mean, I don't know, but that's what I heard, that there was a second driveway. And Jodie Sue worries about them tires at the bottom of the. Why does she worry so much about them tires? I mean, that's kind of weird too. Yeah. I mean, you're not going to keep me from. I would, I wouldn't have went to a hotel. I'd went to the police department, and I said, "Hey, I don't know who this cop is that that was just up on Ben Hill Road telling me I can't get on my property, but I want to talk to somebody higher up, and I want to talk to him now." And I would show him my deed and everything, and I would tell that officer, the higher up officer, I'd say, "Look, I'm going to sue the hell out of you. I'm going to, I'm going to get my lawyer, and my lawyer is going to, you know, see where I own this property, and we're going to go to court, but we're not just going to, take these people that descended down on us to court for not letting us have right of way to the property, but we're also going to take, law enforcement to court for running us off instead of, letting us have access to our land, because they have no right to keep you off your own property. I mean, you know, um, that's against the law, and that's exactly what they did to that man. And not only that, but I would have got a good attorney, and I would have also whoever sold that to me, they would be looking at some, some um I would be suing them also, because they shouldn't be selling me anything that there's not a right of way to. I mean, you can't sell someone a pig in a poke. You can't do that. I mean, and obviously it wasn't a pig in a poke because somebody went up there and surveyed. And if they have right of way to go up there and survey, because Jodie Sue and her son was out there messing around with this. I bet you 10 to 1 they were moving. They were moving the lines. I bet you 10 to 1 they was out there, moving it like a foot a day, right? Like a foot over a day, and trying to, still up what they could. And I would have had it resurveyed. And if those sticks would have been moved, well, that's another lawsuit as well. You ain't allowed to tamper with with stuff like that. And that is tampering. If you go out there and you touched those sticks once they put them in, that's tampering. And so they should be in trouble for that. But anyway, I was on the subject of June 14th, when they was, running and looking for Dobbs, and they was looking for, firing up Dudley. June the 15th always takes you back to the 14th for some reason. And when you go back to the 14th, you see how close Andy and Donald and Candace and Jodie Sue and Grandis and all of them were, because they were all down there on that road, corresponding with each other, and then they went out looking for Dobbs. This allows us to know that, these people are more. They're a lot more than just acquaintances. They're a lot more than just neighbors also. I mean, these people are, in cahoots with one another. They're into some stuff. Well, as I went back looking and researching into some things, I come across Jodie Sue. She's talking to the news, right? She's talking to the news station.
TV, no noise at all. We were kind of hyper alert because of property things that had happened the day before. So we were listening for noise. Everything was kind of quiet. While we were out at one point doing survey lines, and there was a flash of a car that went up Candace and Donnie's driveway.
Now, when she says this,
About it struck me wrong.
when I kept going back also to the phone conversation I overheard between Jodie Sue and Candace about the money. When Candace was trying to get her to change the time frame of the screen because it wasn't fitting the timeline. And they got into the argument over the monies. Jodie Sue felt Candace owed her part of whatever they were getting, cash apps and all the gift cards and everything. Jodie Sue somehow felt entitled to half of that. And so that's what her and Candace was actually having an outsy about. And as I was listening to this, I come to realize that not only did Jodie Sue make up this scream, but she also made up this car that was flying up the driveway as well. Jodie Sue was helping Candace and Donald. Jodie Sue was helping Don and Candace make it look like it was an abduction. Put a 1 in the chat if you agree with that. That's what it was. When she went on the news and totally lied, not only about the screen, but she totally lied as well. She totally lied as well about the vehicle going, the flash of red flying up Candace's driveway. Yeah, it's starting to become way more clear now that these people, I'm telling you, these people know exactly what happened to Summer. They know exactly what happened to this little girl, you guys. I mean, it's starting to resonate now. And absolutely. I don't understand why we didn't see it back when. I kind of think that Jodie Sue was such a monkey wrench. Such a monkey wrench. I mean, everybody was more busy trying to block Jodie Sue out than actually letting her in and listening to her. What I'm saying is, the way she acted, the way she sounded, the way, nobody could stand to listen to her for more than 5 minutes. And that is, I think, why, you'd rather walk on hot coals than listen to Jodie Sue, right? You'd rather walk on hot coals than listen to her. And that, it would be less painful, right? It would be less painful. And I think that, is why we were so busy just like running from it. Nobody wanted to hear it, see it, or even, be around it, that we missed a lot of things. And that was one of them. That shows right there that she was in on it from the time Candace turned into Ben Hill Road that day. Actually, she was in on it the night before. She'd been in on it the whole time. When they went looking for Dobbs, they were in on it. When they were Andy and Don Wells were both driving vehicles and carrying cell phones to prove their location on the 15th. That showed they were in on it, And So, you know, we're not exactly sure. We're not exactly sure. I think that Jodie Sue and her son kept going out there seeing if Candace had turned back into Ben Hill Road yet. I think they knew what was going down and they were checking to see, if they had come back into Ben Hill Road or not. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. I think Jodie Sue was really interested, in how it all was going to be play out and be carried out. So that's why she had her ass out that day. And she also lied. She also lied on two occasions. Because one occasion she said that she came down to meet Andy Bernard to take her to dinner. That's what she was doing down on the road when she heard Candace hollering for Summer. Then she said she was down there messing with her flowers, her garden. That she was down there weeding and messing around with the garden. Um, put a one in the chat if you remember that. One lie after the other. It was one lie after the other one. Absolutely. Right. She did. She absolutely did, you guys. She she lied. So that allows us to understand, that allows us to understand that that allows us to understand exactly why she's been out here from day one. I suspected that. I suspected that from day one. I suspected she had a dog in the race. Matter of fact, I even said it. I even said it at the beginning that Jodie Sue was out here for nothing more than to keep keep notes on everything going on, you know, like a human recorder to keep, she had a need to know too much. And when people have a damn need to know too much, that's when you need to understand they got a dog in the race, right? And in my opinion, Jodie Sue has a dog in the race. And at the time, her son was 19 years old. Her daughter was 14 years old. She had a 19-year-old and a 14-year-old. That would make her daughter 17 or 18 now. Her daughter's grown. Her daughter's completely grown now. And so is her son. Her son would be up like 23 years old. They're both grown. Jodie Sue no longer has any little children, any young kids at all. Both of her children are grown adults. I think what Marlena's daughter saw was not a suitcase. I think she saw a backpack. I think she probably called it a suitcase because what that's probably what they called her backpack. Like when she went to stay with Summer, her mom probably said, let's pack your suitcase up, your backpack, you know. Um, Poor people have poor ways. And poor people, they don't have suitcases, they have backpacks, but they'll call their backpack or their duffel bag a suitcase, right? Let's get your things together. Let's get them packed up in your suitcase. But it ain't like a real suitcase. um, you know, and poor kids don't know no different, they don't know no different between a suitcase and a backpack and a duffel bag. They know no difference between them. They, at that age, they just listen to the parents and what the parents say, and they go with it. But I think what the little girl saw was Don and Candace putting a whole lot of stuff away that they did not want to be there when law enforcement came. I don't think they was packing Summer a suitcase. I think they was packing up a whole lot of stuff. They needed, see, this was all planned. This was already premeditated and planned out. And they were getting ready. Don was, getting ready to drive the Subaru because it has Starlink and could, it's an alibi for him. And, they were already cleaning out the house of anything they didn't want law enforcement finding. You know, they was doing a sweep. They was doing a sweep. That's my opinion. And they had a lot of people involved in, in what happened to Summer. So that tells me they had a lot of people involved in whatever the hell it was that caused Summer to have to be, have to come up missing in the first place. Just saying. I'm going to tell you, this is no isolated mommy, daddy, and grandma thing. This is mother freaking goes way deeper than that. This is like some community shit. This is like some community gather up, pal up, Rosemary's Baby type stuff, right? It's kind of weird. Just saying. Just saying. I mean, yeah, it's kind of creepy. It's really creepy. Yeah, I'm going to tell you, um, Andy Bernard got the hell out of there. I mean, this dude, he kicked up the dust getting out of there. And Grandis kicked it up getting out of there. And Jodie Sue was kicking it up pretty good too. And once she got out of there, she even went farther to send her boy into the military, to get him away and out of the light of all of this stuff. And if law enforcement, if they haven't already know the truth, if they don't already know the truth, which I got a suspicion that they may already know what the hell went down. But if they don't know the truth and they was to find out the truth, there's a lot of people going to be going, a lot of people's going to get arrested, in my opinion, and going to jail over this. That's just my opinion. Because like I said, this isn't isolated. This case has, in my opinion, this case has Hunter and Allison and their family involved in it. I also believe that after the video was taken from, out of the vehicle there, 3.2 miles away from 110, I believe that once they came into Ben Hill Road, there was another group of people waiting to help out. When they came back into Ben Hill Road, I believe they had Jodie Sue on standby to help. I think that, and Andy, I think they had, Chad Arnold and Marlena Crawford and that bunch on standby to help. I think that, probably some of the Morlocks as well. There was a lot of people. Definitely, standing by to give a helping hand in this evilness. This was definitely a group effort. It was a group effort. Just saying. Hunter is a liar. Hunter is a liar. Um, he's a liar. He says that he heard Don Wells talking about an Andy being up on the property and, touching little kids, trying to touch the little kids, kind of stuff. Um, then he said, he mentioned Andy again, as far as he mentions Andy again, as far as, it's done. The text he saw, it's done. Um, but I think when Chris went up there and did the interview, I think that was at a time, at a very good time, because uh, Candace and Grandis have been harassing. They had been harassing um, Allison and them. What I'm saying is, they Candace kept calling Hunter after Summer went missing. Candace also made, two appearances, two, not one, but two appearances at Allison's home, once with Grandis, and then she came back again by herself, and, to talk to Hunter. Um, and I think Candace was trying to bully him, and he was feeling bullied. Like Candace is one of those people, once she gets you to do something, she gets that wide eyes, and, you better keep your mouth shut, boy, because you're going to be in prison. You know what you did? You're going to be in prison, and your mom better keep her mouth shut too. Candace just over there, it was kind of that check and checkmate type thing. And, she was putting her foot in her ass after, getting them involved in something that they shouldn't have ever got involved in, if you ask me. That's my opinion. And they felt bullied. So I think Hunter told a little bit of truth about the text message. I don't think he was going through Candace's phone, just looking through it. I think that, Candace, I think that Hunter and them was in on it. And I think Candace was sharing, um, some of the second half of what went down. I think she was saying, look, when I left here, I contacted, some other people, and as you can see right here, it's done. And they were taking care of the other half. When I got back into Ben Hill Road, I met up with, the second part of this, that, done the second half of the evilness, which was, finding some place to put Summer for eternity, you know. Yeah, you know, that ain't the best looking boy I've ever seen, right? That ain't the best looking guy right there that I've ever seen. He definitely ain't the best looking. Um, and Fred Heel, one thing I know Fred hasn't changed over the last 4 years is that he saw this young man in a swimming pool with Summer. That when he came up on the hill, nobody was outside but this guy and Summer inside of a pool. So, and Fred hasn't ever changed that. He has not ever changed it. And he has not ever changed the fact that he thought something abnormal was going on. between that boy and Summer as well. You know, what I'm saying is he hasn't ever changed the, you know, the bad thoughts of why he thought the boy was in that pool with this little girl. You know, he's always kind of alluded to, you know, this guy, something wasn't right about these two being in that damn pool. He's always alluded to it. You know, even now, it's the same. Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, well, you're dealing with a lot of evil people. I mean, these people, they're not just evil, they're sinister. You know, they're sinister. I mean, you got you got like, you know, your righteous people who are, you know, who are, I mean, I don't say, you know, like, don't get me wrong. Righteous people ain't supposed to hurt no one, but I ain't going to trust them because they're still human. You know, I'm not even going to trust righteous people. I mean, every human's capable of doing things that, you know, everybody's capable of doing some evil shit, to be honest with you. But, you know, normally righteous people, you know, don't be doing evil stuff. But then you have, you know, then you have your people who are lukewarm. They're lukewarm, you know, they're walking down the middle. They're not exactly righteous and they're not exactly evil. They're kind of just you know, that's your normal everyday sinners that, you know, lie and steal and cheat and they do, you know, nothing really evil or sinister. They just kind of, you know, are on a messed up path, right? They're just on a messed up path. And they could go either way. They could, you know, they could either go righteous or they could go row. But then you have, you know, the evil people, right? You have the evil people. And man, when you get on the evil side, there is different levels of evil. There is different levels of evilness out there. You know, um, you have evil people, you know, who will rob people and, you know, um, do a lot of things, you know, they'll do a lot of things, but they won't, you know, they get into the illegal substance and hang with the wrong crowds and you know, sometimes they on live and they get on live type people, you know, but they wouldn't hurt kids, old people, or nothing like that. You know, they're just living in the fast lane of evilness and doing things they really shouldn't be doing. But then you've got another level of evilness, right? That's even more evil than that's more sinister. And when you get to the more sinister side, these are the people who, you know, touch children, on live children, you know, do evil stuff to old people, to anybody. Like they'll do evil stuff to everyone and anyone. They will, you know, they don't care who they on live. They don't care, you know, they don't have no boundaries. That's what I'm saying. They have no boundaries. They're thick faced. They're very thick faced people. Um, what I'm saying is, you know, they're the type of people that can do something super sinister to you and show up back up at your house the next day, believing that you should let them in so they can, you know, so they can unlive someone else, so they can do, you know, even more evil to you and your family. That's the kind of evil people I'm talking about. You know, these are sinister human beings. These are the type like Dawn and Candace Wells, you know, these are the ones that are like super sinister. They have no boundaries. And do I think that Andy Bernard and Jodie Sue are just as evil as the Wells? Yes. Yes, I absolutely believe that they are just as evil as the Wells. I think that, the only difference I think between the Wells and Jodie Sue and Andy, as Jodie Sue and Andy, they have a boundary. What I'm saying is, Jodie Sue and Andy won't, they won't do what they know happened to Summer to their child. They wouldn't tolerate their own child being done like that. But they sure to hell will go along with other people's, right? And so forth and so on. I mean, as long as Jodie Sue didn't lie. She didn't lie when she said, the only kids I want and I can stand is my own. F every other kid out there. I don't care about anybody else's children. I don't like them. I don't care if they fall off. Um, you guys know what she said. That so and she was telling you the truth. She did not care what happened to Summer, nor any of those other Wells kids. To her, those kids, and she did not. Those kids had no rights being in the world to begin with, in Jodie Sue's mind, right? She did not like them, and she did not care what happened to them. She did not care. All she cared about was her and her own, and that's it. And, and she didn't, when they had to do what they did to little Summer, that didn't phase Jodie Sue. It didn't even phase her. She's like, I don't even care. Right? I'll be glad not to see the little brat over there anymore. Maybe after all of this, they'll have to sell that damn land, and me and Andy might be able to get a hold of it. She was plotting and planning for herself. I'm going to tell you that, yeah, are they as wicked as the Wells? Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't kid yourself. I'm going to tell you something. These people are, man, they beyond fucking evil. They're beyond evil up in there. All these, these people all lay around. These people don't get up every day and live for God Almighty. They don't get up every day and live for the people around them. They don't get up every day and live to make other people's lives better. They get up every day, miserable as hell, only giving a shit on how they're going to make it that day, how they're going to get their fixes, how they're going to get everything for themselves. It is dog eat freaking dog up in there, okay? And that's all they give a shit about. And if you get in their way, well, you better be careful. You better be very careful. You better watch your back. You gotta watch your back all the time. Right? You better grow eyes in the back of your freaking head when you live around people like that. These are people that use other people to do their sinister bullshit. These people know how to get other people involved in doing some real evil stuff. And there's a lot of people that will do evil for you. All PG. How do you get people to do evil stuff for you? You just ask them. The only thing they could say is yes or no. You'd be surprised at how many will say yes. Sure, let's do it. That's it. All you got to do is ask. You might get a few says no. You'll get a few that says, not me. But but a whole lot will say, yeah, let's do it. They want to be a part of it. And, you know, the ones that will say, yeah, let's do it are the ones that love to get messed up. I'm telling you, people who do illegal substances are they're capable of doing anything. I mean, people who depend on a fix every day, you'd be surprised what you can get people who depend on that fix every day to do if you're willing to supply their fix. Right? Man, you could have yourself a small mother freaking army if you just got the right shit. If you got the right stuff and you're willing to supply it, you'd be surprised what you can get these weirdos to do. Straight up. Anything you want, you got it. It's that simple. Depends on how evil you are, but you can get people to do a whole lot of things. And it ain't hard to find people who, depend on those fixes. It ain't hard to, you know, just go to these, you just go where Dawn and them go. You go to really shitty areas and move in. You meet a lot of shitty people. You go to these churches where you got all of these substance abuse users standing around in there because they're so mother freaking hungry, because they buy their fix instead of food, and they're starving. They ain't hardly got no clothes. Half of them ain't even got shoes on their feet because they done got stolen. you know they're riding bicycles because that's what the government gives them to get around, transportation. They all have backpacks, right? They all have backpacks, and you'd be surprised at what you can get these people to do. I mean, they're willing to do for that fix. They'll do anything. Like, they start jonesing. They will be jonesing out straight up. And you just tell them, you know, you just hand them up, whatever, and let them know, there's more where that came from. Don't disappoint, don't disappoint you. They disappoint you, and, there's other people, that's more loyal to you than them, and it won't be good for them. You, if you got people doing evil for you, you got to tell them, you better, find another county to live in if you don't pull through on what you said you'd do, right? And usually they pull through. Like Chad Arnold, I believe he pulled through. I believe, Don and Andy and them had what these people want, and I believe that, they pulled through. Like Don said, I went to Chad's house on numerous occasions. Put a 1 in the chat if you remember Don Well saying that. I just played it last night. He said, I went to Chad Arnold's house on numerous occasions. Don Wells knew Chad Arnold very, very well. When they asked him, did you know him? He's like, oh, yeah. And then when they said, oh, I think he's on a line. No, he's alive. Don knows, that right there let us know that Don really knows this guy, and proud to know him. And it sounded to me like this dude did him a real damn favor, from the way he was talking. This dude did him a real damn favor, right? I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you want answers, you got to do the work to get them. If you ain't willing to put the time and the work in, then you're not going to get the answers for any missing child out here. And like I said, I didn't even realize how far Jodie Sue was going to protect the Wells that day. I didn't realize how far, she was really going for them to mislead law enforcement and everyone else in this abductions bullshit. And thank God for Summer's sake, she got the damn scream an hour off. Because had she got the scream, if she'd have said 5:47, I heard the scream at 5:47, 5:43, we would have been like, damn, that's probably was Summer, right? It would have been believable. But for Summer's sake, God let her get it off the timing by an hour. It didn't fit the timeline. And that, and God allowed us and law enforcement to understand it was bullshit. That it was a lie, and she was off target. And that's all glory to God. That he allowed Jodie Sue to screw up. She was taking Don and Candace to the cleaners there for a minute with her, fake ass scream and her little bit of covering their asses, trying to mislead everything. She was taking them to the cleaners. I mean, Don Wells was, I hate to say it, but Don and Candace were kind of ignorant. And, they weren't the brightest fucking bulbs in the shed, right? They weren't the brightest bulb in the shed, or the sharpest damn tools. They were kind of ignorant. And that's why, upset at me about Cher. It's because I knew these people were ignorant and that they were going to fuck up if you would only let them speak. But something about this community out here, people don't like to let the suspects talk. I mean, the people out here is like they're against the victim. Like, you don't need to be out here talking. This ain't nobody's business. You guys need to talk to law enforcement. You don't need to be out here on YouTube. I mean, are you kidding me? Where do you think law enforcement gets a lot of their information that they use in these cases? From YouTube, from people, getting information behind the scenes and on these panels. And it's turned into law enforcement, and it helps law enforcement say, okay, we're going to call this person back in and question them upon this topic because it was set out there in the YouTube world. And it gives them an opportunity to revisit these people, these suspects, and get more questions and more answers applied to, to the case. It helps. It helps a lot. But when you try to shut these people down, that's when you shut this child's case down. You didn't do the victim no help. You was no help to the victim when you do this. You did not do the victim a favor. Matter of fact, you hurt the victim when you tell these suspects to quit talking. You want them to talk. You want them to talk as much as possible, and you do not want to, give them a steel-toe boot or turn them off, hang up the phone to protect them and holler, I'm protecting you, Donald. I'm protecting you. You need to get Candace under control. She's going to say something that's going to get people in trouble like yourselves. You don't tell people that. You don't help fucking suspects to get away with a crime. What are you doing? You leave that phone on and you let them keep on running off and going at it and doing what they're doing, and you try to get everything you can for that child's sake. You don't ever try to help suspects. You don't. That's insane. But I'm going to tell you, I've seen YouTubers do it. I've seen them do it, baby. I have watched YouTubers, you know, act like these people's friends and shut down the information that could have been had. Let them talk. You ain't supposed to censor what these people are saying. You're supposed to let that shit flow freely and get all the answers possible, all the information possible for the victim. But these people out here in the YouTube world, they're not trained. These are not, trained professionals in getting information. These people out here, out of everyone that is actually trained to do this kind of stuff, you got 100 that ain't. Right? Like 1 in every 100 is actually trained to do something like this. 99.9% are not. 99.9% of people who open YouTube channels up, well, they're substance abusers, lazy, don't want to work a job. They're lazy as hell, don't want to work a job. They're substance abusers. They've got all kinds of issues and problems, and they open these channels up to, this is how they make their living. This is how they make their living. And all they care about is, making that living. They don't care about the child, the victim. They don't care about the suspects. They don't care about anything except, putting on a big show and getting as much as they can while they're doing it. That's what they care about. And, that doesn't help the victim at all. That doesn't help the victim whatsoever. Matter of fact, it hinders. It hinders. And they make lies up. They make shit up and they spread lies and stuff. And that hinders the case as well. Because now you got all these people in the chat believing this lie. They're being damned. And they're calling in law enforcement saying, did you hear this? Did you hear that? Did you, and now you're swamping law enforcement with all this stuff, all this BS that has, no bearing on the case whatsoever. And that is where all the issues come in. Why this out here gets such a bad name. These people will even make fake pictures. They will make fake pictures and pull them up and try to tell you that shit is real. And a missing child's case. Oh, this is real stuff. Somebody had this picture of, this kid. It looks like a kid laying, in a big cave or a big, manhole or a big something or that. And it's fake. They mother freaking edited that shit and pulled it up just to get, a bunch of people in there, crowded in there, and to make bank off of it. And it's all fake. And you know what? You just hurt that child's case. You just hurt the child's case. You just swamped law enforcement with a bunch of, BS, a bunch of nothings. You hurt the child's case. You're doing more harm than you are good. when you're dealing with the good thing that YouTubers do is reach out and talk with, the people, the people, the main people, the main suspects, the people who live around the suspects family. That's the good thing. That's a good thing. But the problem is they don't ask the right questions. They tell the person not to answer certain questions, and they're not getting the information that's needed for the victim. They're playing around with it. They're playing around with it because they don't want to ask the hard questions because they're afraid to get hung up on. They're afraid to get hung up on. And they're afraid to get these people's backs turned on them. So they're afraid. They're scared to ask the hard questions and try to get the real answers for these missing children. And that's a real problem. That's a real problem. Right. But that's what it is. Um, that's the way it goes, Janet. That's usually the way it goes. 319, and 114 hit the like. That's usually the way it goes in Summer's channel. Uh, you know, why I don't know. Why I don't know, but that's the way it's always been. That's the way it's always been. For this little girl and her channel over here. I guess um, their hate for PG. A lot of people's hate for PG is more stronger than their love for this little girl and her channel. That's the only thing I can get out of it all. That on the right side of the screen is Jodie Sue Brown's son. That is Bubs. That is Bubs right there. Or whatever the little girl calls him. Boogie. They call him Boogie. I don't know. Yeah, it is sad. It is sad, you know. But I'm going to tell you, a lot of people hate the truth. You'd be surprised at how many folks hate the truth. They want the truth. Everybody wants the truth. And that's no lie. Everybody wants the truth. Everybody needs the truth, but they hate to hear the truth. And that becomes a problem. You tell them the truth and they hate you. Right? That's that's a problem in this world. You know, um, I'm not going to say that that I know what it's like. I know what it's like to hear the truth and not like it. Right? I used to hear the truth all the time when I was a teenager, young adult. I used to hear the truth all the time. I mean, I'm sure your parents knew. I'm sure that everyone in this chat, I'm sure that your parents or a teacher or somebody let you know exactly what the hell you was and exactly what a screw up how bad you were screwing up and doing. I'm sure that at some point in your life, somebody told you the real damn truth about something you didn't want to hear the truth about. And it pissed you off. It pissed you off. You didn't want to hear it, right? You wanted people that were okay okay with you and what you were doing. I mean, your friends were, because your friends didn't give an F about you. Your friends are always okay with everything you're doing because they don't care about you. I mean, your friends will sit there and put your parents down. They'll be like, man, your mom's messed up. Your mom is so screwed up. And she said that. She said that you shouldn't be out, you know, acting like, what you are. You know? How rude. I mean, your friends, of course, they're going to be okay with, with what you're doing because they ain't no damn better than you. If they was better than you, they wouldn't be hanging around with you, right? They wouldn't be hanging around with you. They're doing the same shit you're doing or maybe even worse. And, but you don't want, when you're into all of this, you want, you want to hear all that good stuff your friends are saying. You don't want to hear what your parents or, grandparents or, anybody that really cares about you, even the preacher, you don't want to hear what they're saying. You just, you don't want to hear it. So I fully understand how people don't like to hear the truth. A lot of us want to hear what we want to hear. Sometimes I get like that. Sometimes, I don't like to think that, I'm not one of those people that, like to think that I'm not open-minded, but sometimes I'm not. Sometimes, I'm set in my way. And sometimes, I want to believe what I want to believe. And, and that can be a problem. That can be a problem because, you're not always right. You're not always right. I mean, sometimes you are, but sometimes you're not. And, it's not good. It's not good to be, a stiff-necked person. It's not good to be one of those people that think you're always damn right. Because you're not. You got to stay open-minded. That's how you learn. That's how you learn. If you're not open-minded, you're not going to learn how to do things an easier way. You stay set in your ways, you're going to be, doing a lot of things the hard way when you could have took a lot of pressure off yourself by just being open-minded to something else, right? Take, for instance, have you ever had one of those, you know, I can't think of what they're called, but they're those, it's the little bracket. It's the little bracket that goes into the wall before you put the screw in there. It holds, it's like a little casing you put in first, and then you put, whatever you're going to put onto the wall, like for instance, a towel bar or something. You put those in first, and then you put the towel bar up and you screw it, the screws into that, the little sleeves for the screws to go through. Well, the thing is now you drill, if you're taking the towel bar down and you drill the screws out, those little brackets are still in the wall, right? Yeah, anchors. That's exactly right. They're still in the wall, right? Sticking in there. And, I personally, I wasn't aware of how to get it out. So here I am with a pair of wear pliers trying to latch onto it, to pull it out, right? That's what I'm thinking I'm going to do. I'm going to pop it out with these, wear plowers. And let me tell you something. I got one of my kids, little Mr. Fix It, right? Mr. Fix It. He said, that ain't how you get it out. I said, I believe it is. Mr. Knock the holes in the wall. That, we have to get someone to fix. And still have to repaint it. They fix it, but they don't paint it. So we have to paint it. And, and it's like, I'm sure this is how you get them out, So I went from the wear plowers because it wasn't working to some needle nose plowers, right? To, like getting a little frustrated about trying to get them out of there. And so I go look for something else. I'm going to get a screwdriver and see if I can't, use that to put in and then try to, bring it out. Well, little Mr. Fix It puts the screw back in, takes the wear plowers and pops it out. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, if I would have been open-minded, I would have saved myself a trip for the needle nose plowers. I'd have saved my damn self a trip for, looking for a screwdriver to put in there. I would have saved myself actually getting pissed off a little bit, because I don't want to hear somebody telling me this ain't the way you do it. This ain't the way you do it. When I'm thinking this is the way, I'm setting my own little mind. Yeah, this is the way to do it. And this is the way we're going to do it. And I got showed up, man. I got showed the shit up. I was like, whoa, I got showed up. What could I say? And don't think my kids' uncles didn't let me know. They were like rolling. Ha, you got showed up by a freaking kid. That kid showed your ass up. I was like, who the fuck you talking to? Who you talking to? You talking to me? I'm looking behind me like they better be somebody else here. Right? You be talking to me like this? I'm going to tell you something. Yeah, they disappeared real fast. Like, their feet was hitting the pavement. I was like, I know you just didn't do this. But yeah, that's one of the little things that, you got to keep an open mind. I mean, the next time little Mr. Fixer says, that ain't the way you do it, I'm going to be reluctant, but I guess I'm going to stand back. And if I end up with a few holes in the wall, oh, well, what can I say, right? Only thing I can say is, well, I don't think that was the way to fix it. But, you live and you learn, right? When my kid does that, I ground them. Yeah, I'm going to tell you. I don't really ground my kids or anything like that. My daughter, she gets sent to her room once in a while. She gets sent, she gets her phone took and sent to her room once in a while. But she is like really, she is really something. Trust me, she is something when she wants to be. I'm going to tell you, I didn't teach him to fix it. He taught me to fix it that time. Right? He taught me. I didn't know shit about how to do that one. He showed me real fast. He showed me. But, You got it. It's a give and take in this world. You got from now on. See, next time, I run into, next time I want to move a tail bar, right? Next time I want to move a tail bar or something, I'll know what to do. I'll know to just put the screw back in, and pull those out, putty, and smooth it up and paint it, and it'll look great. Um, but I didn't know. I didn't know. I mean, you learn every day. You know, you don't ever get too old to learn, but you got to keep an open mind. You know, somebody said their kid took the engine apart. I'm going to tell you, when my kids pop the freaking hood on my vehicles, I get nervous. I really do. I get nervous. I mean, these kids really know what they're doing. I don't know how, but they do. They know what they're doing. But, I mean, I don't get nervous if I got everything there. Like if I got, everything there to do the job, I don't get nervous. But with my kids, I have to get nervous because, like I said, I ordered windshield wipers. They hadn't come yet. And we're driving. It starts to pour rain. And I had no wipers. I said, what happened to them? Oh, we took them off. Why? You're putting on new ones. Yeah, but we didn't have the new ones yet. Right? And now we got to pull over. Right? We got to pull over because if we don't, I can't see. And we got to wait, right? We got to wait a long time. And, and that's okay with them because they're cracking up. They're laughing. They think it's hilarious that, we have no wipers because they took them off. I had to laugh too. I'm not going to lie. I had to laugh about that one. That was funny. Um, you know, but I mean, it wouldn't have been funny if we'd have been on a freeway. That wouldn't have been funny. But, kids, man, I'm going to tell you, they something else. AK-47. What's up?
What's up? I got discouraged about something I just heard not too long ago in the chats on YouTube, and I just want to say this, and I want to ask you what you think about Nick Knight putting Sebastian next to Summer Wells.
Um, well, I understand that the reward fund that they got up will cover Sebastian and Summer if either one is found now.
You
I
can
guess
show my face, by the way. I have nothing to disagree. If you
I
want.
I hear that Dog the Bounty Hunter is willing to, fork over quite a bit of reward for either one of these children to be found.
And as a good cause, right? So
Oh
um,
yeah.
okay, but I personally, I'm a big supporter for Summer Wells. Um, I'm also a supporter for Sebastian. I just find like this Nick at whatever you know. I I just feel like it somehow they explodes and meaning for making money for I mean I think you've been around for a long time. You probably heard about making money, maybe a film or something. I don't really care about that. All I wish is the children to be found. But what makes me really concerned is like how they started out whoever they may be, right? start
Right.
out with this and that want to like add in Summer. Now Summer is to my heart, and I mean, like it is Summer now, and I miss her even more because I've been watching this case for years, and I've been on your panel many times in the past. It's not been recently, and I respect you. I respect what you do. I just find this coming out is really angering me because I don't want this case to turn out worse than it already has been. If
Are
that
you
makes
are you
any
talking about
sense.
Summer's case or Sebastian's?
Summer.
Well, I think if law enforcement go over there to Morrison Cemetery and decide to exhume that particular grave over there, they
Yeah.
might find Summer. I'm starting to believe that Summer's there underneath the vault, and if they exhume that, they may find her, and this case could be solved.
Well,
That's my opinion.
I love that. I love that what you said, but I want that too. Honest to God, but I don't want what happened with Summer in the beginning, where now Sebastian is like, I
I
didn't
I
even.
agree. I agree that Sebastian's case is completely in disarray right now. I mean, you got everybody. Well, what happened is you got the Hatfields and McCoys going on, in the case.
Yeah, that
And
yeah.
anytime
I
you
love when
get,
you say some old history. By the way, I love when you say that stuff. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
so when you get that, that feuding going on. See, when it comes to missing child's case, you need everyone working together for the good of the child. There
Yeah, not
isn't there
not
isn't
for
no
not for money and not for
well, it ain't
publicity
supposed to
and
be it's not supposed to be about that.
yeah,
It's
it
not
should
supposed to
never
be
be.
about all of that.
Yeah,
It's supposed to be about the missing child. It's supposed to be, my thing is, if people, if people want to give and they do give and they have it to give to help support the channel, that's beautiful. That's wonderful. But, if you are, like uh doing things to, like, if you're singing a sad song in order to get support from these people, that's wrong. If you're trying to sell them stuff that is fake and so forth, that's wrong. If you're trying to
misleading.
make up if you're making up lies and altering pictures and everything to get people in,
Yeah,
and to get what you can, that's wrong. I
yeah.
mean, it's all wrong. But if you're doing everything righteous, you know and you're doing everything righteous and you're running a channel the way it's supposed to be ran, and people want to help you, support that channel, because it takes a lot to keep these channels going. I know
Of
that.
course, and it keeps people with their good hearts and their and well,
Right. And
maybe it
so,
might be a little bit of money, but it's a push it idea that somebody's missing, and I totally agree with that.
well, it's like, for instance, um in the Sebastian Rogers case, Seth, for instance, Seth, he got, he got a lot of money. He got a lot of money. People was giving Seth quite a bit of money. I don't know now how much it was. I don't cover Sebastian's case that often. Um, but I do know
I
he
know,
got
I know,
quite a
I
bit.
know, but I asked you the question
And
because I know that
and
you're a big follower
if
for
your
Summer.
child was missing,
Yeah,
say you had a son
sorry, I
who
didn't mean to talk over you. Sorry, my bad.
and your child was missing and people donated you, you know, 40, 50 grand,
Yep.
what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
I'm going to put it up for reward. I'm going to stick that money in a reward fund for that child in hopes that someone wants to collect and comes forth and tells what happened, you know, but not Seth. Seth said, "This is my money. This is my money." and he could help some woman with about 10 grand of it or something. In my opinion, that's what I heard. He
Whatever it
could
may
help,
be, right? Yeah.
but not stick it in his son's. How can you tell me you care so much about your child when you would help a lady, save her house before you put money in your child's reward fund to
Yeah.
save it?
It's
You
like
know,
you know,
I
can
mean, I
I just
think
want to say some I want to say something for a minute. It's like, I own a house and I need a uh um put a something taken in my backyard. I need to get a new one. I mean, that's kind of how I feel. I know it's a little crazy how I'm saying that, but I mean that's how I feel. Like it's like trash, like he just doesn't, But that's my opinion, and you probably got good opinions about Seth and stuff like that. I'm not saying he did, but it seems pretty shitty if you ask me, right?
right. And what I'm saying is none of these people, and there's nobody, in Sebastian's case really doing what is righteous, if you ask me.
I believe
You
that
know,
too. I believe
um,
that too. I've been
and
watching.
it's too much damn hate. It's too much hate. You got Seth with his little group of people hating on Katie and Chris and them with their group of people spreading
Yeah.
the hate right back, and when they all should be putting their heads together to find this little boy who is out there somewhere, needing to be
Missing.
found, brought
He's
home, and
not even.
justice
He's
served.
just not out there. He's missing. He's like.
Well,
He like.
people don't just go missing. They're out there someplace. He's
Yes.
somewhere. That boy is somewhere out there, and
He's
he
a he
needs to
has,
be
he has a
found.
physical body. He has bones and a brain and a skeleton. And yes,
Right.
he's flesh and bone, and he's out there, and nobody
Absolutely.
knows.
He's out there. And when it comes to Sebastian's case, um, unlike Summer's case, Summer was 5 years old. She was
Yes.
too little. She was too little
Somebody can
to
handle her right away. Right away, and him, he's a more of an adult. He was 15, right?
yeah.
So
I mean, this boy's 15 years old,
he's
you
bigger.
know,
He's a little bit
and
clumsy.
I
He could be whatever he is. But
right. And the thing is, I think a lot of times when people become adults, they get older, they forget what it's like. They forget what it was to be 15. You know?
yeah, you forget when you're 5 years old and you got your favorite toy that you pull out in the middle of the morning and wake your parents up with.
Right, exactly. The point being is, sometimes we have to remember, we have to be able to go back, to that 15-year-old mark. And if we could go back to that 15-year-old mark, it will remind us that we were stupid, that we were not very intelligent, we were not smart. We thought we knew it all, we knew nothing. We have to go back and remember that, we would open a door when we shouldn't. We would call people that we shouldn't. We would do a whole lot of things that we shouldn't. And I think that Sebastian was no different than any other normal 15-year-old
I
kid. I
and you know
think he
what?
was doing a lot of stuff that he shouldn't. And it's a very good possibility that he was keeping contact or someone was keeping contact with him that he had met somewhere because they took this young man out into public places. And according to his dad, he was not afraid to talk to adults. He was not afraid to say stuff to people.
To,
And it's very possible that someone, he was just going to supposed to run out and meet them for a second. And he's in his bare feet and they lured him away. It's very possible that this child was lured out of his house and you know abducted. I
um,
mean, that's my opinion. I
okay,
mean, they say, well, his shoes were there, his jack. Well, if he thought he was only going to be flying out for a second and didn't want to get caught, he may have ran on out without that stuff.
you know what? You've nailed pretty much a lot of things I've been thinking about. And if you don't mind, can I say a couple of things?
Yeah, go ahead.
about Sebastian. Now, I found out like there's a hotspot you have on your phone. You can have it on your PlayStation. Actually, you can have it almost any kind of area in your house or items you have, like your phone, gaming. It's called Wi-Fi, and then Wi-Fi you're connected. Now you can go to McDonald's and get a Wi-Fi, right?
Right.
So let's say if you go to McDonald's tomorrow and you get on their Wi-Fi, go drive around of how far you can reach that Wi-Fi after it leaves the McDonald's house, right? Wherever it is. And find how radius that is. So when Seth talked about him and his son going fishing near the high school where there was a Wi-Fi. Now there's a Wi-Fi in my old high school. You can reach it almost like 100 yards away. It's crazy, but it's that intense because it's a school, right? So all the kids
Right.
use it. So he's down by the pond, and what he gives, hey son, here's your phone. You can do whatever you want. Now, that's the whole internet thing I'm talking about. Like he could be, gotten involved with somebody, and I totally kind of believe this because I got niece and nephews. They're like now they're past like 21, 22, 23. But they were smart enough to figure out all kinds of stuff I couldn't even figure out. Now I do web design. They knew backboard doors and all kinds of apps and all kinds of stuff.
Right.
So I'm like, how would you know this? Well, it's technology. So, but I think I'm not saying Seth. I'm not on the green team, and I'm not on Katie and Chris, but I'm on Seth. That's the way I've always been. I've always talked about because both sides seem sketchy to me, no matter what. In some ways, because of the internet, the the things about yay nay. I didn't do this. We did do this. It came out later. We did do this. He wore diapers. He did that, and then he had trouble. I'm sure he had trouble. He had a disability. I have a disability. And I can understand parents having trouble with a child in certain ways, especially if they're not educated or they're trying to learn to be educated because their son or daughter is like acting in a way they isn't like you pull up on YouTube and say hello, this is how you do it. um Am I talking too fast?
Oh no, absolutely not. I'm keeping up with you.
But I just feel like for me, I hope that they hello, peace, y'all. I just hope that they don't use Summer with him because like Summer is totally different, and I would hate this like shit show. I want to call it shit show of them adding her to him because they're totally opposite, and they do not need to be locked in together about any whatsoever. And I mean, there's my gosh, that poor Summer. It like I don't even understand. It's I get it. Like maybe people want to make money. We all know about the all those assholes that
The
have
next
been doing
sound was
this
harder to just.
dirt shit. Sorry,
Go
you
ahead.
just throw it up. Don't. But I mean, like they're gonna like add that. Why? No, they because they're in Tennessee. Maybe there could be inklet, maybe close, but nobody's figured that out. But what I figure out is like to me, don't add Summer because Summer is more like more. I mean, not saying that more precious than him, but totally different subject here we're talking about. Don't no. But I mean, that's just my own opinion. I'm sorry. I'm just taking it a little personal because
Well, I think that I'm not disappointed about them adding Summer at all. I'm
well,
glad they
if they
did.
put her name out there, but adding it to his case is, I mean, look at all the
Well, they
chaos
were
that
both. They're
happened
both.
with, no, look at all the chaos.
I think they added Summer's case to Sebastian's case to show TBI and Tennessee law enforcement that you have got one child missing, you got two. I think they kind of did the duo in order to um kind of show um that Tennessee. I think they're kind of trying to
Well, I
shame
would
them,
say, yeah,
trying to shame
shame
them.
Tennessee, but I mean, it seems like they want some more publicity, but add, I don't, there should no add to it. Like,
Well, I think they put the two cases together to, um, to say, hey, you don't have one kid missing, you got two. You haven't solved, you got one for 4 years, you haven't even solved that. You got another one now, you're not solving it. What the hell's going on here?
but
Right?
there's more stories. There's more missing children besides them two, to be
Absolutely.
honest.
Absolutely. But
So
those
I
are
don't.
the
That's
two.
why I take that little like weird because like there's so many more that we don't know, and people have talked about it. I'm sure you've heard them. I have. That Tennessee's like a hotbed, but so is Ohio where I live. You know, gosh, there's like so many kids missing every day. It's crazy. My
Right?
Amber alert goes a lot. It goes off. Um. So, but I want to ask you about that. I just hope they don't send it to a circus. Baloney. I'm sick of some people think they know. I mean, look, I don't know anything. I only know as much as I do know. I mean, I don't run a YouTube channel.
Right.
But I want to say, I'm looking too, just like anybody else. I want to, help and find out. It doesn't mean I'm gonna uh make money and we're gonna spill bullshit for even having somebody say, "Hey, your child looks just like somebody else that's missing." That's crazy. I mean, just for money for what? People's hearts are breaking, and people's money. I mean, there's okay. You might not like Granny watching, but like people are going after each other for bullshit. For money. For what? Because you have an inkling, idea, and a choice in your mind, and you say, "I think," but no, somebody wants to say that you're so wrong, and you're against of finding a missing child or a case, or like you're like you're the opposite because you're trying to make something, but you're trying to find out the truth, but that's how you get blocked. I'm so I almost want to quit watching true crime, to be honest, because like just even the way I think, I know I think the right way, but I mean at the same time I'm watching everybody and listening. I'm like, what the hell? We're never gonna find children when we act like adults, like we act like assholes. Money for what? And you're not gonna find a child?
Right. Well, I'm going to tell you, and nobody's going to find that child until God wants them to. I
Yeah,
mean,
you're probably right.
God controls all things, and until God wants a child found, it's not going to be found.
Yeah.
And why He's holding it up, we don't know. God's way is not our way. It's different, but His way is right.
Yep.
And I don't question God. I just, say okay and keep praying and keep
You
asking
follow
for
along
the
with
answer.
what he says, and then if it goes that way, it goes that way. But you wish, right? I know what you mean. I know.
Absolutely.
I do too, and makes me sad that I want to actually kind of walk away because, it's getting madness. I mean, if it depends on what. I'm not gonna name anybody's channels, but it depends on who you watch and who you listen to and what they say, and it's like the beginning of my heart was to find the missing, you know, um, and help. Like definitely missing 411. I love those. I like David. What's his name? David Padetas. 411, talking about cold cases and things where families will probably never find him. People have been still looking to this day. Um, but I mean, people do come up missing, and tragedy does happen. And like families can be corrupted. I mean, the walks of this world. I know me and you probably have walked a lot of this crazy ass world, to be honest. And what we expect or what's going to happen, we never know. But at the same time, we live as free as we can, and we help. Well, at least I try to help, but I don't know. I just wish I hope this Nick at Night, whatever this bullshit, whatever people don't add in Summer, because Summer needs to be separated, but she still needs to be found.
um, all of these kids need to be found. Even Michael Vaughn, another
Yeah.
little missing child. They all need. He's in Fruitland, and they all need to be found. You know, every last one of them. They shouldn't have ever come up missing.
No.
Evil is the whole reason these children are missing. And hopefully righteousness brings them home. You know, hopefully righteousness
Well,
finds
one
them,
way or
brings
another,
them home.
yeah. I mean, give the family a peace, yeah.
Everyone needs peace. Everyone needs closure, but most of all, these babies need to be found. They need to be laid to rest properly. If they're no longer with us, they need to be laid to rest properly. You know, I think that whether a child is alive or on live, they want to be found and their story told.
Oh,
You
yeah, they
know,
do. Their souls
they
do, yeah.
you know,
Absolutely.
they absolutely. They want the truth. They want the truth known. For their loved ones' sakes and for all the people searching to find them for their sakes as well. But mostly so they can be at peace and move on out of this world the way that they want to be out of it. Um, I don't think anyone that's met with tragedy like that can actually rest in peace until they are found and
I
and
think I
laid to
think
rest properly.
people's souls, like when some tragedy happens in
Right,
some certain ways, I think their soul gets trapped, and then until somebody could find it, doesn't mean it's just you get close, and then their spirit just like goes and rises, and then they venture off to the place after death. Yeah, I definitely believe that.
right.
I think you have a strong soul. I've been listening to you for a long, long time, and you've been honest from day one for Summer, and I thank you for that. And I think that's why I really want to jump up here to say, and I said it before, just if they could put her name out, but not the screw of her name, don't do what they did to you know, uh, to this other child. I don't want to see Summer's name being really really cute. What they did with Sebastian. Okay, I just that to me, because I know there's a big super army for Summer, and like I don't want to see that being like combined. They're missing. That's the only point. But the other point is not the rest of the other bullshit. That's all I want to say. Does that make any sense? I mean, I just don't want to see this be a mockery,
Right.
and especially for the mother
Well,
and father. I mean, like they've been through the worst of all worst, and believe I mean I've been following this from day one, and I can't even imagine. I mean, right or wrong, but I can't even imagine my soul and my heart how I'd feel about. But now this idiot or this guy I don't like, I say, but that's my opinion. But making a mockery, don't put the money. Like don't do this chaos weirdo crap for where we already been trying to find her and don't mix it up. Like what, like, it's sad that, to me, I think about this, you miss your dog, right? Okay. I'm going to add I know family and a kid and a dog is not the same, but I'm missing my dog. I ran away. It ran down the street. And I've been looking and trying to find. And you know what? I never found that dog. But one day I went,
I mean,
I
it's
went,
not, I know it's not funny, but I'm sorry.
I went down and I walked that dog down near the river, near the road, near my house. And guess what? I saw my dog in the skeleton and I saw its collar, and that was my dog. You know?
Right.
So, that's how I feel like. I don't, we don't want to ruin what was so beautiful as a child, right? Let's not cure this magnificent child that somebody has, and then but everybody has to ruin it for their own agenda, for like making money, and that's what makes me sick. Because missing somebody, hell, I've already been through that. And I think a lot of people have, but no, that's like people don't care. Like there's so many nasty people clutching pearls. That guy. Anyways, um, I just don't understand. Like, how do you? But then again, you know what? Like you do. You're trying. You push it out there. You do the truth. You don't. Do the. Trauma, drama, all that poopy, crappy shit, which I despise. And I go over in those channels and I'm making mockery and I say some shit, of course. But I mean, it doesn't prove anything other than people making lies.
Right.
And, and we're not finding anybody. We're just like talking around in circles and spanking each other in the butt.
Okay. Okay.
I know I get a little irk. I get a little irk, but I mean, you give me a life. I do watch you. I do watch you. I do, and it's just like some of us need to grow balls, and like, but I just that's why I want to come up and say like I'm still Summer. Um, I advocate for the other, but I don't want to connect them to because I know they're totally different. Who cares? They're the same Tennessee, but there's something about Summer. It's a lot different for me than Sebastian. But it doesn't mean Sebastian is left behind. It just means like I don't want them to be connected in that way, and they're not. They're totally not.
Well, it's two different cases. I mean, Summer's 5 years old, and there's a lot of solid stuff in her case that isn't in Sebastian's.
Yeah, that's
Um,
what I'm saying. I
you
mean, like
know,
he
I
has
mean,
a
I don't. Here's my thing. I don't understand how someone could disappear in the middle of the night. I mean, out of their own home, out of their own bed. I mean, he was supposed to go to bed. Um, I find it suspicious that his phone was on the counter. I
Yeah.
find it suspicious his shoes were there, his jacket was there, nothing was taken.
Didn't wear
I find a
shoes
lot
to
of stuff
leave.
suspicious.
Yeah.
But I also find, that he's 15 years old, and I know that
Plays on Minecraft. Imagine that.
he was into Minecraft. And but his dad made a statement one time that Sebastian would go into men's restrooms and say stuff like, show me yours or show you mine. And I'm going to tell you something that will get your child abducted.
Yeah,
There is
of
some
course.
creepy,
Yeah.
weird people inside those bathrooms. And yes, they would be afraid to do anything, anything in a crowd like that. But I'm going to tell you what, they possibly can give your child their number or get your child's number. And, and like I said, he could have been running out of the house just for a second. Now, it was February. It was in February. He didn't have to worry about fire ants because fire ants ain't out in February.
No,
And,
they're frozen. They're like hanging down in the
right,
deep hole. Yeah, I know.
exactly. I mean, he wouldn't be worried
And
about stepping
what
on no
is this,
fire ants
Tennessee?
in
In
February.
Tennessee? Yeah, come on. Look, I live in Ohio. I know there's a very few places in Ohio that have fire ants. Anyways, go ahead. I know what you
But,
mean.
but the point being is,
That was in Florida, supposedly. I think he ran into, but who knows? He
he
went to
may
Florida.
have, he may have ran out to meet someone real quick and got, as I said, got abducted. I don't know. I mean,
You want to
the
hear
only
my theory? You want to hear my theory?
either one or two things had to happen to Sebastian. One, he went out and met somebody that abducted him. Or two, well, Katie was the only one in the house with him. And she would have had to do something unto the child. I mean, that's the only two things that could have happened there.
Can I give you my theory?
Give you what? Give me what?
Can I give you my theory?
Sure, go right ahead.
My theory is like I know Minecraft. I've been playing Minecraft since they began the first game. Map
Right,
form, and then they came up with another map form. And it was so much better to do that with games. You have sons and daughters; they probably play games, right? So there's always advanced new levels of all that. What blah blah.
exactly, right.
All right, so on Minecraft, I can get on and on my old tablet actually, and on an old tablet, I'm saying I can get on there and I can get on the game and I can still do internet. Now I have a newer lap tablet where I do my own gaming. So I use my older tablet for my old like building I just built. I don't go online like play games. But I can, my newer one, I can play games and I can go and chat and I can talk to anybody. And, I can give you my phone number. I can tell you where I live. I can tell you whatever you want. And you could be like my age, supposedly. All right.
Right.
So that does happen. People are saying, well, you don't like, all you need to do is kind of put it in knowing your parents and whatever adult thing and get right into it. And it's easy as possible. So if you know your parents, like, you know, apps and stuff where they sign it up to pay for it because you have to do pay through these gamings. So your parents pay for these gamings, right? And underneath because they're adults and they're paying for you. You're not adult. Hello. Again, and they pay and you go in and you're just like adult playing adult game and hanging out with adults and everything's just hey g- give me your number shout. I mean it's all kind of in chat and they can do it and uh excuse me.
So you think
Listen,
he met up with someone online?
well if you're gaming you know people like, I mean, look, I no offense, a lot of people, especially some women, do not know about gaming. All right, that's okay. I'm not really huge at gaming, but I know enough that you gotta log on, you get on with your friends, you talk. That's how you go through the process if you're gaming
Right, right,
live. All right.
right.
So there
But they
might be
said, but
somebody.
they said that he wasn't allowed to do live gaming. Sebastian
Well,
wasn't allowed to be
what
on no
if?
live gaming.
Okay, he wasn't allowed to be gaming with what? He could be on somebody else's live gaming. Okay, there's two lives here. There, look at this. One and one. All right. What
Right,
happens? One and one is together, and there's another one that enters in with the gaming. So you got, it's like remember the three-way calling.
right,
So there's like a three-way calling. So somebody's in the background, like two other or one other person's running on with the conversation
right.
and giving information and saying, "Hey, I'm your really good friend." I mean, I know. Look, I'm not trying to be like disgusting, but I was molested by my cousin. Okay, there's like manipulation. Okay, there's people
Right,
out in this world that will do stuff you will not believe. I mean, you think you might believe, but that you wouldn't think. No, but I'm sorry, that's not my point. But I'm just saying I definitely think that there was a lot that they came so late to talk about the technology, about Wi-Fi and all this stuff, and not think it would come out because it, in this society these days, you can't really get away with shit. To be honest, I
right,
mean, if you think you're really smart, you better be smarter than me. I mean, to be honest, I mean, like I design websites. I know about all kinds of technology. I went to college for it. But I mean, like people think they're just so much smarter. No, you're not. No, you're not. Phones, all that shit. It doesn't even matter if hell, if they could read off of a dead phone, like when you're stupid. Like what was those track phones? Um,
right.
you could. There was another chip that you could pull out and just put it in and go to somebody that knows some tech and then put it in there and they could read all the numbers they pull up. I mean, like, oh my god.
Right, right,
So, but I mean, no, I think with Seth that he lied about his son being on the internet. He lied about if he came out and said that he stopped giving his son medicine, which I think is really crazy if his son needed it. Um, I mean, like, there's so many weird things that has come out that he tried to hide that he had internet and his son had nothing, but he brags about it. So I mean, that's another
right.
thing. And then Chris and Katie, I to be honest, they were really on it and they were getting upset because Seth was giving him, he had another phone or some other. Look, I had what was it, iPod? Remember the iPods?
Yeah.
No, I could get on an iPod and walk down the street and go on somebody's Wi Fi and call somebody like face to face. I didn't need a phone. Remember that?
No, I don't remember that.
But
I don't
no,
remember that.
seriously. So I could like take my iPod, right? So I have iPod account, right? So I could
Right.
walk down the street and I could look on my, Wi-Fi, and if I can get right on somebody's Wi-Fi, I can right in.
Oh wow. Okay.
I've been trying to. I even got on Queen Bees. I was trying to show her. I was like, I know hotspots. I used to do it for when I go to Michigan. I used to go to Michigan. Me and you talked a long time ago. But anyways, I went to Michigan and I do videos of like Lake
Most people,
Superior.
Most people's Wi-Fi has a password, like 99.9% passwords. Like restaurants and stuff, they'll let you hook up because you're
Yeah,
having
but you
coffee
could
or
make a fake
whatever.
account. You could make a fake account, and you could also use a hotspot on your phone. There's
Right,
so many ways. I mean, oh my god,
right. That's true.
that's
That's
why
true.
I don't trust Seth because he keeps on lying like, no, my son did not have a computer. No, my son no had action. It was only be for me, but he had a phone. I was gonna buy a phone. Dude did lie. He lied like the look all like four of those lies. One thing leads to one thing. You're a big liar. You got your son a phone. You both use the same account. He had account, you had account, and then that's why, like, I mean, to be honest, this is my theory. That's why Chris is like, what the hell? Like, you gave your son all this activity through the internet and lied about it. And not now, Chris, I mean, this is me, I'm not him, but he's thinking, like, what more did he really do of his son to have activity for the internet? And then
Right,
you got Taco coming out saying some weird stuff. Well, see, this all has to do with internet. It's all internet. And
right,
I mean, not, it's.
right. I don't really, like I said, I don't really cover
I mean, think
Sebastian.
of a ghost. Think of a like an evil ghost that, let's say you moved in a house, or like, I'm just this is gonna be the Scooby Doo kind of creepy thing, okay? So you move into a house, and there was like the story about some creepy thing that licks around, it's because the house is cursed. Well,
Hey, listen, I really got to get back to what I'm doing here. But
Well, no,
anyway,
come on, give me the Scooby Doo kind of scoop. Come on, just for a minute,
anyway,
just for a minute,
I'm gonna
5 minutes.
have to throw you a Scooby snack, man, and get back to covering Summer's case. But I appreciate
I
you
know,
coming.
I know. Oh, all right, but no, no, seriously, no, no, the internet. Look into it. Look into the internet. Like,
Right,
there's always a fail. There's always a fail. If it's not like you think it's really the internet, it could be a
right.
footprint. It could be a car with a radio with a somebody riding in there and another connection. It all has to do with internet. No, I love you. I love you. Peace.
Hey, I love you too. Catch you later, man. Okay. I I don't cover Sebastian's case, you guys. I don't I don't cover it that often. I have covered it here and there, but not that often. And that was quite interesting, right? Hey girl, I'm bringing you up.
I was
That was
coming
quite
to save you,
interesting.
Mommy.
You coming to save me, girl? I I was up here trying to save myself, right?
I figured you threw him a Scooby snack.
He was definitely funny. He was definitely. I like the guy.
Yes.
I like him.
Right. A little bit off the wall stuff, but it's like, hello.
Um, yeah, he used to come up. He used to come up on my panel
Well, I
way
just
back.
wanted to come save you.
Yeah,
Yes. I'll,
he used to come
I'll
on
come up.
panel way back, and yeah, he's he believes in the conspiracy theory.
He does.
Everything, right? Yeah,
He
but he's a
does.
nice guy. He's a really nice guy. And I
Yeah.
think he does. He gets invested. We all get invested in these cases, and
Right.
there's a lot of people invested just as much in Sebastian's case as they are in Summer's case.
Right.
Actually, to be honest, right now, I think more people are interested in Sebastian than Summer, to be
Not
honest.
me.
And
I'm Summer all the way.
and when when you pick up a missing child's case and you really follow it from day one and all the details and everything, and you learn that case inside out, um it's really hard. It's really hard to let it go. It's hard to let it go. And that's Sebastian's case right now. Now, I think Justin is doing a really good job with Sebastian's
Yeah.
case. That's my opinion. He's
He
really
is.
worked hard. He has hit a couple bumps, but you're going to hit a couple bumps, and no matter what case that you're doing, you're going to hit a few bumps. And you're going to hit those bumps at no fault of your own, because there's a lot of stuff out there. And these cases can get so intense. You don't know what is real and what is not real. I mean, I've had like what I believe was very liable sources tell me things, just to find out that I got led in a dark alley. But, that's why when people give you tips or whatever, you have got to go and do your research, before you bring it out here. You got to really do your research. And sometimes, even if that's calling law enforcement and, and asking some questions and so forth to get to the truth of everything, then that's what you got to do, you know. And like I said, I've had a lot of things come down the pike, and it was just it led nowhere. It was BS. But
Right.
I didn't know until I researched it. And sometimes these creators get really super busy, with real life. They get super busy with because we got a life. This isn't our life. We got a
No.
real life. And we get
Right.
busy just like everyone else does. We get busy. And a lot of creators, sometimes you forget to search it out or whatever, and you just happen to bring it out, and then everybody's like boo boo on you, and you didn't know. I mean, you thought it was legit and liable, and you just got sucked into everything that was flowing in that direction, and you ended up downstream, baby. And but you got to get up. You got to get up, and you got to go upstream again and start over. But people can be very critical. They can be very critical against
Right.
the YouTubers. They act like we're inhuman out here. They act like we know everything, or we should know everything. Hell, we don't know everything. We're humans just like everyone else, and we're busting our backsides to do the best we can for these kids, and sometimes, it hurts because we're not getting no appreciation. Instead, we're getting, you know, for every single
Hate and
time,
everything.
for every single time we have done everything righteous, it's that one time that people want to, um,
Hey.
call it out. They don't really call out all the good stuff. They just, they want to, it feels like when you're a creator up here, it feels like, every mistake is called out, because that's what haters want to do. And, and it can be very discouraging. It can be very discouraging, and it can mess with a person's emotions and everything else. I mean, if I had any emotions, it probably would fuck with mine. And, I'm just
Right.
lucky I don't. So, but Justin does. He does. He has, that guy has a big heart and a bunch of emotions, and you know, and he's doing the best he can. And he, like I said,
Yes.
none of us are perfect. None of us are perfect when it comes to doing these things. But you know, um, I love Justin. I just want to put that out there. You know, I do love him, and you know, that guy's like a brother to me. And I
Yes.
definitely, you know, and I think he's doing a freaking amazing job when it comes to, you know, Sebastian's case. I
Sebastian,
just want
yes.
people to
I
know
hate it
that.
when White Boy just nitpicks on him and nitpicks on poor Justin.
Yeah, he
Makes me
does.
so mad.
And you know, but I think by now Justin considers the source and moves on. I think White Boy's just jealous
Yes.
that Justin is so much better looking. You know, he wishes he looked
Yes.
that good. Maybe he could get Donnie to, you know, to do what he wants to do with him if he only looked like Justin, right?
That's right.
Probably what the problem
White
is. I don't know.
Boy.
Just my opinion,
Mine too.
you know.
Well, I'm gonna let you get back to what you was doing. I love you and prayers to you and your family. Prayers
Right.
to
Hey,
everybody
girl.
out there, Miss Norway, everybody. I love you all. Sorry for over speaking you. I'm jumping down and listening because I have enjoyed your channel. It's
Hey,
always
girl. I
amazing.
love you. You know it.
You need me, you know you got me. Hit me up.
I think they're calling you Little PG
Yep.
in the
They know it's little PG. Yep.
chat. You had to change your
Little Mama
name, girl.
PG's kid.
Hey.
Bubby
Oh,
nailed me
yeah.
to the wall.
I
I
gotta
mean,
remind
dang.
you. I gotta remind you guys, Mama Day's coming up. Mama's Day is
That's right.
coming up. It's coming up on the 11th. So all
Let's
my
flood
kids
her.
in
Let's
here,
flood that
that's
Facebook.
right. I want to see I love you and all them flowers in the chat come the 11th. When I come in here on the
Yes.
11th, man, my kids better have something for me. I'll have to pull out. I'm gonna have to pull out that rubber shoe. Right?
Oh no. Flip flop's gonna hurt. Flip flop's gonna hurt.
Ain't that the truth? They're gonna get the flip flop.
Yep. Or you'll get Bubby's nail gun and nail us to the wall.
I'm gonna tell you, Bubby ain't getting one. Bubby is not getting. That's all that kid keeps talking about. Is how I need to get him a net. Oh hell to the no no, no way. I'm gonna tell you. When you don't warn me, that you freaking painted something and you let me lean against it, and you're staring at me like you know you just lost your voice. Uh, yeah, you didn't get no nail gun.
Darn
Absolutely
it.
not.
I'm
Right?
gonna have to buy him one. I'm gonna buy him one, then I'm gonna
Yeah.
be in big time trouble.
You know what he had to say to me?
What'd he say?
He said, Mom, don't worry. Those are just designer jeans now. Yeah, right. And I got a designer jacket to go along with it, right?
Right?
It all matches now. At least
Good
the
Bubby.
yeah, I'll be matching when I walk away. Right?
Love it, love it.
I have to turn around, plaster myself to the wall again so the front will match the back. Right? I'm
Love
gonna
it.
tell you, my kids, man, they got they better be happy that I got such a good sense of humor. Because I
Right?
can, a lot of stuff could piss a human off. I'm gonna tell you, but right. I'm gonna tell you what. Every time I turn around, it's something. It's like something. My kids, girl, I'm gonna tell you some of the stuff they say and they do, and they crack me up. Especially that little
Need to
one.
teach him to dab you.
Especially little Mr. Fix It. I'm gonna tell you something. That kid is like, oh my God, he's like a 24/7 riot. He is something different. And
No.
and he's got his uncles behind him, right? They They find him hilarious too. I'm like, this child, man. I thought, I thought my daughter was, I thought my daughter was like my only problem. I'm starting to find out. she, she's just one of the few.
No. Well, I'm gonna jump off here. I love you, Mama PG. Like I said, prayers to you, Miss
Hey,
Laura,
I
and
love you
everybody
too,
that needs it.
girl. God bless.
You too. Later.
Alrighty. All right, you guys. Anyway, that's what, we got all of these people. I came in tonight to, talk about the 4:30 mark. The 4:30. Jodie Sue saying 4:30. You got Marlena saying 4:30. You got Laura saying 4:30. You got Chad Arnold 4:30. It's all this 4:30. I'm telling you. Uh everything went down. Everything went down before law enforcement ever got there. Everything went down. The first half of what happened on June the 15th happened in the morning. And the second half happened after they got home and started meeting up with people just as evil as they had been affiliated with that morning. Don and Andy Bernard, it sounds like they was definitely hiding at work with their, Starlinks and their GPSs and their cell phones. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, that's a big, giant red flag. And is Sebastian Rogers' case any different than Summers? I don't know. I don't know. I haven't looked into Sebastian Rogers' case, to be perfectly honest with you, extensively. I have not. I mean, I have kept up with it, and everything. I know that, it's a real mess out here and so forth and so on. Um, for some reason, I haven't I haven't really, you know, I'm one of those people that has to be led to do something. I was led to get into Quentin's case. I mean, I was really led to get into that baby's case. Um, Kylie Romney. I was led to get into that, to that. Um, there's some cases that, Megan Boswell. I was really led to finish out with that one. Um, Sebastian Rogers and Michael Vaughn. I haven't overly been led to do anything with them two cases. Um, you know, I don't know why. I don't know why, but I kind of stayed away from them. Um, and maybe it's because maybe it's because of the way that they're handled or something. I don't know. I don't know why God, ain't leading me towards those kids' cases. I have no idea. You know, Obviously God feels someone else is better suited to, cover those cases. I have no idea. But up to now I have not been led to do these kids' cases. Once in a while I'm led to say something, to step in and say something on Sebastian's case, or led to step in and say something on Michael Vaughn's case. But to really cover it, to really get in there and try to figure it all out, as far as Michael Vaughn's case goes, I think I think at some point they're going to find him in someone else's yard, close to where Stacy Wander was, living at the time. Just got this feeling he's somewhere close there in somebody's yard. Um, Not theirs. I think they dug up the wrong yard. I feel that the child is somewhere else in someone else's flower bed or be under someone else's plant. Um, and will be exposed at some time. But I think when they find Michael Vaughn, he's going to be in someone else's yard, because that's what Stacy said, and that's what his old lady was saying, and nobody was listening. Nobody was listening. So that's my opinion. That's my opinion in the Michael Vaughn's case. And I'm probably right. I'm probably right. Just saying. But also, and that's probably that's probably because Stacy Wander told me personally that someone was jumping the fences into somebody else's yard. That's what he told me. And he said, he was talking about Michael being in someone else's yard. So that is, my opinion. And then his girlfriend was saying the same thing when I went to do my research on her. She was saying the same thing. So, you got to listen to these people. You can't just hear them. You got to listen to them. And that's my opinion, that, they weren't stupid enough to put it in their yard. They had somebody climb that fence and put it somewhere else in the middle of the night. And where that somewhere else is, I don't know if it's a neighbor to the left, a neighbor to the right, the neighbor behind him, or a neighbor in front of him. I don't know. But I can guarantee that's probably where the boy is. As far as Sebastian goes, like I said, there's only two scenarios. There's only two things that could have happened. He ran out of the house and got with someone that took him away, or his own mother, is guilty guilty as hell. That's my opinion. And that's the only two things it could be. There's nothing else it could be. Because, those are the only two scenarios that could have happened to this boy. He was in a house with one other person. There was no two people or three people or four people. There was one person with him. That was his mama. And, and she claimed she went to bed and she heard a thump in his room. If I hear a thump anywhere in my house, I'm going to go taking a look. I'm not going to holler, "What the hell's going on over there? Is everything okay? Go to bed." No. I hear a thump, I'm going to get my ass up and I'm going to go check what that thump is. I'm going to open that door. I'm going to turn on the mother freaking light and I'm going to see what it is, because I want to know that my child ain't hurt. I want to know that, something ain't broke that my kid could step on or get hurt on later. I need to know, what was that sound like a bowling ball hit the floor? I need to know. And a good mother would. A good mother would have went checking. They wouldn't have sit there or hollered or whatever. They would have went looking, and then she would have knew what he was wearing. She would have knew everything, right? That's why they call you mom. You get called mom for a reason. And that's because you're supposed to care, damn it. You're supposed to be looking over your kids. Right? I hear a thump, I'm going to check that thump. I don't care where it is. I have a need to know that everyone is safe and everyone is okay. And I'm not too lazy to get off my ass and go look, right? And I tell you what, you got to thank God. You thank God that you have the energy. You know why I go look? Because I thank God He gave me the energy to be able to look. I thank God He gives me the energy to be able to do all the things that I need to do in a day. And I hope He gives me energy to do all I need to do tomorrow, the next day, and, for a long time from now as well. I'm grateful to be able to get up and do everything. I'm grateful that I'm able to care and love people the way I do, especially when I'm out here and I see how many people don't have the love, kindness, and caring that God has blessed me with. I'm thankful. And people really, really need, to start taking care of their babies better than this. Katie should have got the hell up. She shouldn't have cared about fucking Chris. She should have cared about her son. I agree. She should have hung up and went into that room or talked to Chris while she got off her ass and went and opened a door and took a look. And if Chris had a problem with me getting up and going and turn the light on and checking on my child, then I would have hung the hell up with Chris. And I'd have let Chris know, don't let the door split you hit you where the good Lord split you, right? That's what I would have told Chris. I mean, these women are like ride and die for their old man. You right? When in the heck the women become, whooped? I don't know. I thought men were supposed to be whooped, not women. But how the table has turned, right? How the table has turned. Oh, baby, I'd do anything for you if you just stay. Please stay. I'll throw out all my kids. I'll throw out my grandma. I'll throw out everything and everybody. You just stay, baby. I need you, honey. What the fuck? You got me bent. I'm going to tell you what. My old man be saying, baby, you could keep anything you want to. I don't care what you bring up in here, just so you let me stay with you too. Yeah, ain't gonna be no shit like that. I say, you want to go? Don't let me stop you. I'm gonna tell you what. Man, we don't have to go see a damn surgeon to get separated, right? I thank God for that. See you, wouldn't want to be you. Been good, not that damn good. Right now, I'm just looking forward to the guy that's going to replace your ass. Right? Hope he makes more money. I need it. That's just how, that's how I roll. I don't even care. I don't care. I'd be damned if I let some man tell me, how to treat my child. There ain't no damn man gonna walk up in my house and tell me how I'm going to, that me and him's going to gang up against my children. Are you fucking out of your mind? There ain't no me and you baby shit up in here. But that sounds like what happened to Sebastian. That's my opinion. I believe that Katie and Chris were kind of like, me and you baby against Sebastian's dad. I think Katie really was afraid of losing this Chris guy, which is a total asshole, right? He's a total, in my opinion, Chris is a total asshole. I don't like him. I think he's a bully. I think that guy is a bully, right? He bullied his first old lady. He's still bullying her from what she says. You know, he bullies women, and he seems to bully children. I mean, put a 1 in the chat if you agree with me, because damn, I've seen it. I've seen him. I mean, they sit there and basically at the beginning of Sebastian's case, Katie and Chris sit there trying to make people not like Sebastian. They sit there and talked about how this little boy ran, and they talked about, you know, how he talked and danced. And I mean, it's like he couldn't do nothing right. He couldn't do a damn thing right in their eyes, right? They were really freaking evil. They were really evil the way they talked about him. And I think they're glad he's gone. I think they're glad he's gone. You know, they seen this little boy as a problem instead of a gift from God. That's my opinion. And I don't think they miss him. I don't think they miss him at all. You know, no matter what happened to him, they don't miss him. You know, it seems to me like him being gone is a relief to them. You know, like they wish he could have got gone sooner. That's just my opinion. You know, from what I've seen of these two people. And I don't like to, you know, I don't like to cover another case like that, because I saw the same thing in Don and Candace. I saw the same thing in Don and Candace Wells. They didn't care about this little girl. They didn't care really about any of their kids. Candace only wanted to keep the boys to use them to get other kids, to get other children around, you know, around like Hunter. And they just wanted to use those kids to be able to have access to other children as well. And, you know, but they didn't love and care about these kids righteously. They didn't, I mean, they were jealous of their boys when their boys got put in foster homes and was getting clean beds and nice things. They were jealous. They were jealous to see their children, you know, living a better life than them fuckers ever provided for them. They were jealous to see that, you know, their kids weren't being used and abused no more. They were jealous of their own kids. Who the hell is jealous of their children? I mean, that speaks volume on their character. That speaks volume against Dawn and Candace's and Grant, their character. I mean, these are some evil fucking people in this world. I mean, you've got some real mental issues, man, when you are jealous of your little girl or your, you know, your little boys and stuff. I mean, you're fucking disgusting. I would rather see someone, you know, give a gift to my child than ever give one to me. I'd rather see my children have than myself have. Right? That's why real mothers and fathers go without so much. They go without so much to give to their children because they want their kids to have it all. I mean, parents live on the bare minimum. We freaking buy the bare minimum clothes for ourselves, you know, so we can buy everything for our kids. We don't care about ourselves. We care about our children. We you know, we fill their plates up before we fill our own. I mean, what we do is we get what's left over after everyone else eats, right? And that is being a real parent. Why? Because you really love your kids and you want them. You put everyone before yourself. And that's good. That's good people. Good people put everyone before themselves. They always put their self last because, they good people know that God's going to take care of them. Yeah, you have to take care of yourself to be able to take care of others, and God will take care of you. You do what you're doing, and He'll take care of you. God loves you, man, and He really loves you when you're doing righteous. You'll have no worries. People, I don't know why people want to be evil when God's so good. That's the best way that PG can put it. Absolutely. But Don and Candace didn't put Summer first. They didn't want flyers. They didn't want the billboards. They didn't want, the reward fund after they figured out they couldn't get it. They didn't want anything. Just like when we wanted to sell t-shirts to get Summer a new reward fund that would go to the boys, she wasn't found. And Don's like, no, why can't it go to Utah and buy a big piece of land so we could sit around and, continue to be disgusting and evil, right? So we can bring a lot more people in. Hopefully they got kids that we could have at. That's my opinion. When it comes to them fucks. I'm going to tell you something. I don't work to give my kids a great life because they have to be seen or because they're a reflection on me. I work to give my kids a great life because I love them. If they didn't have to go nowhere ever, I'd still give them everything I could because I love my kids. I want them to have a better life than I ever had. And that's what a real parent does. That's what real parents do. But I'm going to tell you, evil people don't think like us. And we got to, you got to know that. Don't ever think that the biggest mistake you will ever make in your life is thinking that everyone's like you and trusting them. They're not like you. Don't fucking trust them. You better open your eyes, really get to see who a person is, and stay the hell away from them if they're evil. People are not like you. Everybody, is not like you. That is the first step to staying safe, is to understand that and not ever let down your guard. Absolutely. Absolutely. And those two kids are grown. Jodie Sue has no teenagers or any kids at all. That might be why she was so ugly and everything. I was wondering why she's so ugly, because she's trying to call my kids imaginary children and stuff. I think she was just jealous. I think she was jealous because she has no younger children anymore, um, to just hang out with and stuff. Her kids are grown. They probably don't want nothing really to do with her. And that's why she sits in that trailer the whole damn day and night and whatever, on those lives. I mean, but, 4 years, she's been on them lives like 4 years, you got to wonder who was raising her kid in the background, right? You got to wonder who the hell's raising her children in the background. Because, the only time that I come live during the day or something is, like if it's very important to do so. You see a live lit up by PG in the day, it's something going on. But most of the time I come in pretty late in the evening after I've done taking care, all day taking care of business. I have to work, I have to take care of my kids, and spend time with my kids and my family, and I got a lot of things to do. And then after, at the end of the day, after they've had supper, and I put snacks out and stuff that they can grab if they want to during while I'm doing these lives and stuff, and and they go off to play their game machines or watch TV or whatever they want to do. It's their me time. This is my me time. And after I get off this live, I'll be making my rounds to make sure everybody's okay, right? Everybody's doing good, everybody's tucked in, everything's okay. And while I'm doing these lives, their uncles are moving about the house, making sure everything's good. So I don't worry. So, but you got to make sure your kids are safe. You got to watch them all the time. It just is what it is. And if that little boy, there was a big thump in his room, I'd have got off my ass and went and looked. I would have went and looked. I don't know why Katie didn't go look. I mean, well, I think I do. I think it's because her and Chris really didn't care like that kid anyway. And, one day, maybe not now, but one day, I think they're going to get their eyes open, especially Katie. She's going to get her eyes open. And, she won't be laughing, and she won't be so happy about everything. One day when her eyes open and she realizes she could have had, a son there for her, and that she could be there for later when she ain't got nothing else, well, that's when the regret will set in, all the regret will flood back upon her. But some people, it takes time. It takes time to see how fucked up you was and how you should have been, and you wasn't. Sometimes that takes time. For evil people. And sometimes, evil people don't ever change. Sometimes no matter how old they get, they don't give a damn. So I don't know. But hopefully the light does hit her at some point. I don't know how she can escape it. She was his mother. And he hid in tight places, big clues. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have any kids like Sebastian, that's on the spectrum or whatever. I don't have kids like that. So, and I thank God. I'm not going to lie, I thank God, because children like that are a lot to take care of, But if I had one, I would be taking care of it, right? I would be taking care of it more more so than, because those kids need more and extra care. I'd be worried about, if I had a child like that, I'd be so worried 24/7. I would, I would always have the need to know exactly where it was. Like, no lie. Like, that kid would have to help me. The child would have to help me cook. The kid would have to, what I'm saying is, if I'm cooking, it would have to be in the kitchen. And, if I was in a living room, it'd have to be in a living room. Like, its bedroom would have to be right next to my room so that I can hear and keep an eye on it. I would be like, just need to keep an eye on it. Right? Because kids like that are unpredictable. You don't know what they're going to do or they're capable of doing. And you got to watch them like a 5-year-old. You got to watch them all the time like they're 5. And, and it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. I feel so sorry for Sebastian. I feel so sorry for him. But I just, maybe that's why I try to stay away from that case, is because it, the way they treat him reminds me of how Summer was mistreated and not cared about by the whales. And I think Sebastian, the way Katie and Chris was acting, it reminded me of Don and Candace. And I don't think I could handle, round 2 of those people again. Different people, same shit. It's a lot. And you become, I'm going to tell you, when you cover these cases, when you're up here on this panel and you're covering these cases, you become so attached to these kids, man. And I'm going to tell you, these kids break your heart. They break your heart. I'm going to tell you now, I have found myself pouring freaking tears for Summer. I found myself pouring tears for little Quentin Simon. I mean, just out of nowhere, it's heart-wrenching. It's heartbreaking. Like the picture of Summer shaved completely, all of her hair gone. I can't stand to look at it. I can't look at it. I'm going to tell you, it makes me want to cry. I don't know how anyone could ever abuse a child like this. It's, it's totally unacceptable. It's unacceptable, you guys. That's what it is. But I wish we went to left field tonight. We went out into left field. I wanted to talk more about the 4:30 time frame. I wanted to show more, stuff tonight. But you know what? God took us in left field. Sebastian's case popped up for some reason. I don't know why. I didn't expect somebody to come up on panel, start talking about Sebastian. When we don't cover that, but they did. Maybe, maybe he's supposed to got recognition here tonight, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So, we went into left field with it, and it's, it's a little too late to come back. It's a little too late to come back to what we was doing, because I'd be here another couple hours, and I don't think I can do that and then work tomorrow too. So we'll have to pick up tomorrow where we left off tonight, you guys. And that's okay. That's okay. God don't put us anywhere we ain't supposed to be. So you know, and it'll probably keep me up tonight. Why? Somebody popped up with Sebastian's case. Is there something we're supposed to do? Is there something we're supposed to look into? You know, why did that end up here? You know, that's just the type of person I am. I'll be thinking about it. So, you know, trying to figure it out. But, you know, I'm going to have to ask everyone, please, please, please keep those prayers going up for Summer, Moon, Utah, Wells. Keep the prayers going up for this little baby. Keep the prayers going up. I know through Jesus Christ, God is listening. God hears y'all. And so keep those prayers going up. Let God know that we want her found. We want her brought home. You know, justice is mine, saith the Lord. But Lord, please let us find this little girl. Let us bring her home. Let her brothers get closure. Let us get closure, God. And if this baby is not with us, which I don't think she is, let us lay her to rest in her own spot. In her own spot. God knows she didn't ever have anything much of her own in this life. Lord, let her at least have her own little spot to rest until you come again. Amen. Pray for this baby. Let God know that we want her found. In the name of Jesus. Amen. Pray for little Sebastian Rogers. Pray for him too, you guys. He needs all the prayers he can get. His case needs all the prayers it can get. And pray for Michael Vaughn. Wherever Michael is, let us pray to God. Let's it be revealed and that he gets found as well. In the name of Jesus. Amen. Keep the prayers going up and keep them going up for one another. So many people in the chat. People need prayers all the time. I hear people saying, please pray for me. Pray for me. Well, let us be the ones praying and know that people's praying for you as well. Let us pray for one another. That's what God wants us to do. Keep them prayers going, you guys. Good night. God bless. Much, much love.